Welcome to the Mike Bowie Show, where we talk with people who influence people. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show. This is People Who Influence People, and I'm your host, Mike Bowie, and I'd like to start a new series. I want to introduce this new series. Not only will I be continuing doing the longer interviews, and some of those, have gone for up to almost 2 hours, which I love having those discussions. It's a great joy for me to get to know some of the influential people in our community. We've had some great guests so far, but I was recently at a leadership boardroom conference, a group that I'm in, and there is a brilliant podcast marketer there who was talking to another member of this group who's saying, hey, why don't you do like a 6-minute 6-minute podcast on this or that or the other. And, I thought I'm missing a great opportunity here to share some things with you guys, my listeners, about what I do, what I'm passionate about with influence and the people who are the people who influence others. So I want to introduce a book. If you haven't heard of this book, this is the preeminent authoritative doctrine, essentially, on the psychology of influence. And it is a book by Robert Cialdini. It's called Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion. And I personally find it interesting that persuasion is a word that can be interchanged with the word influence. And this book is really the gospel of influence. It's explains the psychology of why people say yes, and of course how to apply the understandings. Robert Cialdini is the preeminent expert in this field of influence and persuasion. 35 plus years research. He's written additional texts on influence as well. So I want to introduce that book. It's called Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it 100%. So let's start with some synonyms for influence. What is synonym? What is a synonym for influence? It's if I get on thesaurus.com, it says clout, control, domination, effect, force, impact, importance, leadership, leverage, money, pressure, prestige, significance, weight, connections, magnetism, direction, esteem, fame, guidance, notoriety, predominance, prominence, and so on. All these words are fascinating to me about how we can impact our community. And one of the things to understand about influence and in understanding how it works is that the principles of influence that Robert Cialdini explains in his book can be used for both good and for evil. So I implore all of you to use it for good, of course, not evil. So let me go over the first. There's the list of 6 keys of influence, the 6 principles of influence. And by learning these and applying them, you can have an immediate effect on your surroundings, your family, your business, your friends, your community, and even beyond. Number 1, reciprocity. Number 2, commitment and consistency. Number 3, social proof. Number 4, liking. Number 5, authority. Number 6, scarcity. These are from his first book. So today I just want to share reciprocity and what that means. The concept of reciprocity is simple. Give a little something to get a little something in return. So Cialdini's first principle states that human beings are wired to return favors and to pay back debts, to treat others as they've treated us. So the idea of reciprocity, it says that people by nature, they feel obligated to provide maybe discounts or concessions, maybe favors, if they receive favors from the same people. So The psychology behind it is simple. We as humans, we hate to feel indebted to others. We don't want to have a debt lurking, outstanding with others. If somebody does something nice for us, we feel like it's out of balance. We should do something for them. Now, what's interesting here is you can override that. Maybe you don't go do something nice for somebody, but that feeling is still there. It's still unsettled. And it may cause us to distance ourselves from someone, or it may cause us to draw near and want to serve them in some way. So here's an example from one of the reviews of Cialdini's book. There's a website, Backlinko. Brian Dean has this website, and his website is centered on his blog, which it's focused on giving its readers tips, advice, and suggestions on how they can be successful webmasters and SEO analysts. Well, what he does is he offers a free white paper, essentially, tips and tricks and ideas. You put in your email address, and out comes, and in your email instantly comes these tips and tricks. Well, suddenly we've gotten something free. We have an actual intellectual capital we got free from this guy. Well, the idea is that if enough people do this, then many of them will act in return and maybe buy his course or sign up for his services. So it's giving something free in order to get something in return. Now, there are many studies, a lot of research, especially in restaurants. I heard of one recently, and I don't know who did the study, but there was a study about giving mints when you give the check. So if you don't give a mint to the patron, to the customer, let's say you get a certain amount of tip. Let's say it's 10%. Versus, say you serve them, it's great service, the service is the same, but you leave the check down and you put a mint on it. I believe the data was 3 to 4% more in tips by giving away that mint. So the waitress puts that mint down, and you get it free. You got something free. You feel indebted to give something back. And this is where it gets really fascinating. When you add a human touch to it. Take this same server, waitress, waiter, whomever. They lay the check down. The service was great. You ask for the check, or they ask for the customer asks for the check. They lay the check down with 1 mint. They turn to walk away and turn around and say, for you, 2 mints. At that point, the tips increased something incredible, maybe an additional 10 or 20% on top of the other 3 to 4%. So it's that special touch. Now those mints cost nothing, a penny a piece, whatever they are, but increase those tips dramatically. So the idea of reciprocity is simple. In marketing, by offering something exclusive or personalized to make your clients or customers feel special. Give them something that's of actual value. People understand that when you're giving something away that's a trinket or worth very little. But even in that mint, that's considered a valuable thing. So here's another example. For instance, if you water your neighbor's garden while they're gone, maybe they ask you, hey, could you water my plants or my garden this week? Well, they'll feel indebted. They want to balance that scale. The reciprocity in this case could be something like, well, maybe they watch your dog for you when you're gone. So it's a fascinating principle. It's something you can implement right away. People want to return the favor. You give. You know what? Here's another example. The Hare Krishna who gives the free flower at the airport. I know you don't see those anymore, but that free flower was shown to increase the donations by hundreds and hundreds and thousands of percent. So anyway, reciprocity. Give something, to get something. It's a wonderful principle. That's number one. And stay tuned. I'll go over all of these over time. Thank you guys for listening. This is People Who Influence People. My name is Mike Bowie. I'm your host. And have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you liked the show. And if you did, please hit the like button and share it with your friends.